When it comes to everything fantasy football, you have to ask one question. Don't you deserve a fighting chance? And now, welcome to Fighting Chance Live with your hosts, Kevin Tompkins and Scott Fishbowl 9 winner, Gary Haddow.
Fashionably late on the twitter.com and on youtube.com. It's Fighting Chance Live. How you guys doing? We got a little Saturday stream going. We're in the midst of Scott Fishbowl season, so we got some great submissions from people who want their rosters rated, and who better to do that? I mean, I'm okay, but we got Champ down below me. Gary, how's it going, my man?
Dude, it's going fantastic. So excited to be here on a Saturday. Got the little guy down for his nap. Wife's watching TV, so what better time to talk some shop and talk some Scott Fishbowl and bring in a new introduction to the Fighting Chance fantasy team, Petey Stitz. How you doing?
Thanks for having me on, guys. It's a pleasure and happy to be here.
Hell yeah, it's awesome.
Absolutely. We're gonna be having some fun today because we got a lot of submissions for rosters that people want us to take a look at, that want Gary to take a look at with his Scott Fishbowl expertise. So Petey, let's talk to you real quick before we get into these. So your first Scott Fishbowl. How's the experience been as far as drafting your team, with everything going on surrounding the entire tournament? What's your experience been like?
It's been absolutely fantastic. I was shocked getting that email invite from Scott Fish a few weeks ago. This is, like you said, my first time. So just blown away in general that I get to be a part of this. Been able to meet so many fantastic people. My followers on Twitter have been spiking, and it's great. I'm happy to be in a community like this. Just very excited. And with the draft, kind of what I expected just from mock drafting a few times leading up to it. With it being super flex, mine went very QB heavy in the first few rounds. So I had to make adjustments there. But ultimately, I'm good with my roster. I'd say I would give it a B-, somewhere around there.
Would you really give it a B-, or maybe there might be some different rating system?
No. You misheard me. I said D-.
D-? No, it's better than that. Man. I like it more than definitely. Well, yeah, man. Thank you for coming on and joining us. We'll definitely have you again. For anybody that doesn't know, Petey just had his second kid, a daughter, right?
Yes.
And so
my wife currently has them over at my mother-in-law's. So
fair enough.
I get a little time to myself.
Very cool. Well, we were supposed to have Petey on earlier, but obviously he has a little bit more going on in his life that's important beyond just fantasy football and potting with Kevin and I and two knuckleheads here, pretending like we know what we're talking about. So, but hey, I think it's kind of a perfect time to just kind of jump into it. I apologize. I'm still kind of rushing around it's a lot of these teams that we try to get through. So if we don't get to yours, I am very sorry. We will eventually get to them. If we don't get to it on here, I will definitely respond to your tweet about it, and respond there and give you my grade and give you my comments and whatnot. I'm sure Kevin and Petey will do the same. Yep. Kevin, did you talk about what's happening tonight? That's technically already happening as we are potting.
As we speak, that's correct. So Michael Hoff and Anthony Servino of the Fantasy Football Face-Off are doing a mental health potathon. We're going to be part of that at 10 o'clock Central, 11 o'clock Eastern. So make sure you guys tune in for that. I believe right now, at least when I checked on that, Lauren Carpenter and Samantha Holt were both on there. I'm not sure. I haven't checked the timesheet. They're still on there, but they were as of 1:30. So they've had a great list of people, some of the who's who in fantasy. So I don't know who we had to con to get on there, but we're going to be on there later on tonight. So we'll be tweeting that out for sure, and making sure you guys check that out.
All right. Very cool. Well, let's just jump into it. We're going to rush through these, not rush, but you know what I mean? We're going to do as much as we can with the time that we have. And thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm still trying to get my screen all set up, but who do we got first here? Mr. Me Seek SFF. Does that sound Does that sound right?
Yeah, Mr. Meeseeks FF. We are looking at, he started at the 104 with Mahomes. He's got a Mahomes Hill stat going. Off the top, running back depth. That's what jumps out to me. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely like the running back depth. Something that I'll probably say up front that I realize is going through all of these is that when Tannehill is a QB2 on a team, if they don't have a solid QB3, it's definitely a little bit of a knock. I get a little bit nervous about what if Tannehill doesn't fulfill his efficiency, TD efficiency that he had. I think we all expect him to, but it's definitely something that, there's a lot of QB2s out there that probably want to try and get someone. That being said, I love this team. I love the wide receivers. I love the running backs. Jared Cook and Goddard. Those are fantastic tight ends to take there. Petey, where are you at with this?
I like it a lot. I like Tannehill ever since he left Miami. I have a lot of faith in him. I would have no problem having these same two QBs on my squad. My only issue is, kind of like what you were saying with QB3. In a super flex, me personally, I'm always going to want to at least have the option to have a quarterback to play in that super flex spot. So when this guy starts hitting his bye weeks, he could see some trouble if, Winston is still on the sidelines with a clipboard because Breeze is doing just fine. Why would you, put Winston in?
Yeah.
So that's my biggest concern there. But what I do like about this, because it's a strategy that I subscribe to as well, is he's got both Mahomes and the Hill pairings, and then also Tannehill and A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
So that right there stood right out to me, and that's why I'm going to give my first movie comparison to this lineup to Lethal Weapon, because it's an awesome movie. You got buddy cop, situations there. This is the Lethal Weapon of lineups.
That's fantastic. I love it. We're all going to have kind of our own different ways that we're rating these, but this is actually one of the top teams I saw going through all of these. I gave it an A-. At the time when I first reviewed it, he hadn't, I think, picked whatever I had from a few days ago from the original tweet. He hadn't picked past Goddard, I believe, and I have more of it now, but he didn't get that QB3. If he did, this actually might be one of my favorite teams that I have seen. So it's an A-, could have been an A.
Well, see, all right. So I have a very scientific way of rating these teams. Lots of ropes and pulleys, lots of stuff going on behind the scenes here at Cassidy Tompkins. So the only thing I kind of have some hesitation on is the boom nature of his wide receivers, because Tyreek Hill is not the most consistent. He'll get those wide receiver, top 5 numbers, but it's going to be a bumpy ride to get there. A.J. Brown is going to have to repeat the efficiency with Tannehill to really get to that ceiling that we all think he has. Marquise Brown, he's a deep threat, but he definitely, disappeared some weeks. We're going to give it a 7. Lots going on here, but I'm going to have to give that a 7. I'm not as high as a couple of you guys on that. And to quote Lethal Weapon, I might be getting a little too old for this shit.
Perfect.
All right.
We did not rehearse this before doing this, by the way. That's all improv.
Yeah, not at all. So
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how this goes in these transitions between teams and whatnot. So
it's all fly by the seat of our pants here. We didn't have a dress rehearsal. We didn't have craft services here to throw out some ham sandwiches. So let's see. We got another team on the docket. By the way, big shout out to Josh_ADHD for this app, Josh Hornsby.
Yeah.
Second, this is the second my Scott Fishbowl number 2 here. So. He had it last year and it was awesome. So really appreciate doing the work to get just this app up and running here. So we're trying to get team number 2 up here. Getting going. I think we're getting it. There we go.
There we go. All right, I'm just gonna take it off here. So I thought solid QBs. Obviously, is not as far along in the draft. So some of these are just kind of interesting because they're at the halfway point or just shy of it. So he has okay running backs. I'm always going to be a little bit nervous about having David Montgomery as my RB3, just because I'm a very RB robust drafter. I do really like the wide receivers and the upside. Kenny Golladay is my plant my flag guy. I love Marquise Brown. And now that Julian Edelman has an actual quarterback throwing to him, plus Preston Williams, everybody's kind of like one of the sleeper darlings. And so with tight ends, yeah, there's a little bit of question mark. For me, this is going to be a solid B, maybe on the lower end, going to a B minus, and that is just because I'm a diehard Niners fan. I've never been a giant Tevin Coleman fan since he joined the team, even if that's blasphemy or whatnot. I don't know. It honestly just once he gets some more running back depth, gets a couple more wide receiver pieces, this will go up a bunch, and also that QB3. But we don't know what's going to happen in the next 3 or 4 rounds. I'm always going to default to, and you're going to hear it a ton, Ryan Fitzpatrick or Nick Foles as a QB3 to me is awesome. They are just something that you can get just to see what happens, especially with Fitzpatrick and his magic that he did last year. Kevin.
Going to me. Okay. Well,
yeah, we're going to mix it up.
All right. So clearly it's Drew Brees. He's pumping up that ADP because he could have taken him at 201, but he took him first. So as far as the running backs, I like him because I like Monty as a number 3 who's going to get opportunity there. Mixon, Jones, and Montgomery's a pretty good tandem there. Galladay's someone I really like too. The quarterback pairing, Brees and Cousins. I really like Cousins in this format. He's a timing anticipation guy who routinely has pretty good completion percentage numbers. Certainly should be hovering around that 66%, which is what you're looking for optimally in this format. The tight ends certainly have a lot of upside with Hurst and Fant. I don't mind Tevin Coleman. If something does happen to Mostert, I think Coleman's going to be locked into a pretty sizable role. He's going to be in a sizable role regardless, but even more so if something, if Mostert does get traded or who knows. But as far as the main guts of this team, not having been completed a draft yet, it's not bad. I do like it.
Petey, what
Agreed.
you got?
It's safe. I'm looking at it. I do like David Montgomery actually, especially as an RB3 in this case. I'm comfortable with that. I wasn't thrilled with what I saw last year in him, but I wasn't disappointed either. He's just kind of a safe wait and see what he can do. But I mean, if he was your RB1, completely different story. But as an RB3, I'm okay with it. And we do only have to start 2 RBs. The rest is just a flex. So I mean, if it looks like Montgomery's just not having a good matchup or something, you could easily get him out of there. So, like Kevin was saying, Tevin Coleman is the guy if anything happens with Mostert. But I think it's still going to be a committee backfield anyway. So Coleman's going to see his looks. So I like it, and if I'm going to compare it, it's a nice, comfortable office space. I can turn it on anytime and be okay with it.
Yeah, sounds good. Office Space, I love it.
Petey, what's your favorite Michael Bolton song?
Do you want me to sing it or just say it? I'll say it.
Shouldn't they all be? Shouldn't they all be? I can't pick.
I have the man's entire catalog. I mean, I just. I
love it.
Hey, let's a 7. There we go. Let's do a.
I'm going to be the Simon Cowell of this group. I'm going to be very tough on these intrepid drafters we have.
Let's do a pivot here, just because it's in the chat. We weren't going to plan on doing anything like this, but let's do it. Let's look up Chris Joel Smith's team. He's about to be picking up on the 10th, picking in the 10th round. I'm not going to look and see who's on the board. So, Chris, you're just going to have to go with, whatever advice you think is useful here. For anybody that, it's coming up. So he has Mahomes and he has Minshew. He has awesome running backs, not thinking about that. And then he has T.Y. Hilton, his only wide receiver, Jared Cook, his only tight end. At this point, I'm either going to go, if you have a tier of a QB that is above everybody else, I'm going to go there because Minshew, you're going to want to play the matchups. He's not going to be an auto start. Mahomes is. Your running back core is freaking awesome. Oh my God, it's beautiful. And so really, to me, it just comes down to which is going to be a tier above, your wide receiver or your QB. I'm definitely with Minshew as my QB. I'm going to try and either get 3, if not 4 QBs. I personally have Allen and Brady, and I got Minshew as my 3, and I actually got Fitzpatrick later as my 4, just because I want to play the Allen Fitzpatrick matchup. One's playing the Patriots. That means one could be playing the Jets type thing. So I would look at it that way. But if there's a wide receiver that's a screaming value, go there. But man, wide receiver is just so deep in this league, right? What do you guys got?
Yeah, you can wait on it. I mean, that's I took 3 in the first. I think I took Debo in the 10th, and then I waited a while and was able to get values like Perriman and Allen Lazard. But yeah, you can absolutely wait on receiver. That running back group is stacked. Like you said, I mean, that's going to be the crux of your team.
Petey just logged out by accident.
Uh-oh. Let's get him back
mistake.
in. Oh,
Noob alert.
I don't have a siren.
I almost made it 15 minutes.
Hey, but Chris, when you make that pick, let us know what you did. I'm very curious to see. I love talking about people's drafts. I won't lie. I think it's fantastic. It's so much fun.
All right, let's get to. We're gonna get to Keg Daily here. No relation to Carson Daily.
Or he just likes to drink a keg every day.
Or John Daly. If he's John Daly, hit me up, bro. We're going golfing.
Petey, what do you got here? Actually, are you good to start off with this one? For Keg Daily?
Sure. For Keg Daily. So, Dalvin Cook, Dak Prescott, Melvin Gordon, Chris Carson, Raheem Mostert. I almost kind of wish he took a wide receiver just a little bit earlier. Terry McLaurin has, great upside, obviously. He is the number 1 receiver on that team, but do we trust Haskins as much as any other receiver catching from any other back? So that's a bit of my concern there. Melvin Gordon, Chris Carson, Raheem Mostert, the RB4 spot. It's not bad. I like Ronald Jones. I took him myself, actually. It's risky, but it could pay off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I probably would have swapped out Mostert for maybe a DJ Moore in that range, and then you had him as your anchor at wide receiver. Otherwise, I like the second quarterback in Cam Newton there. Edelman, he's just fallen way too far down. That's a nice stack with Newton and Edelman. Yeah. Crowder's the very, very safe 4 condom pick at at wide receiver. It's ultra safe. You know what you're going to get. And Matt Breida, who's going to carve out a role in Miami. I like the squad. Jonnu Smith at tight end, not a bad get there at the 11th. That's kind of you gotta, if you're gonna wait that much on tight end, that's kind of what you have to expect to be able to get someone in that tier. But yeah, I don't mind that team at all. We'll see what happens at the latter half when he makes his picks 13 through 22. But it's a good foundation.
It's interesting to hear you say that because we were talking before the show, and I really do like most of the teams. I looked at about 40 or so teams here. I think this might actually be one of my least favorite. I'm now pivoting a little bit because of the Mostert thing. I'm wondering, was that Mostert pick before or after the news came out? Because I think if it was before, it's a great pick, and I think he stays. But I think I get that now he has a different view. We have a different view of him. I think that you could have gone wide receiver there. My concern is that he just went Breida, and at the time that pick hadn't been made when I was originally looking at this roster, and it's still there's no third QB, and we don't. The over-under on games started by Cam right now, I think is 12 or 13. It's not actually a full 16. It's what happens there.
Right.
A lot left to go, and I think that you can definitely rebuild this, and you can salvage not salvage, but you can really bump this roster up. And Terry McLaurin, I mean, it's really just a matter of how much is he going to hit. Those running backs are awesome, and I really do wonder if the Ronald Jones pick was oh shit, Mostert just asked for a trade. I need someone just in case.
Yeah.
Thing. All right.
So what's our rating on this? What movie are we diving into, Petey?
This is Django Unchained. It's very risky. Very risky, but the payoff could be there and be plentiful.
Fuck, man. That is such a great analogy. I'm so glad you did this.
My rating is for this is a way back term, but when you have a girl that is super good looking, but you don't want everybody to know it, so you rate her at 6.5.
Everything is just going to be half a point above or below 7. It's okay. I'm actually at a B- /C so far. I do like the start, but this is going to be about a finish. You can easily build back up, like I said, but right now it's a B-C.
Hey, I'm not here to take you could have bribed me before the show if you wanted a higher rating. I'll just say that, but I'm going to be tough.
I'm actually I'm excited to talk about the next team in relation to the team we just looked at, because I think at face you could say they're kind of similar. 5 running backs, 2 quarterbacks, and then one went wide receiver heavy, but they pivoted at different points. And so this is a DJB_4_, and I'm just seeing he also has Herndon and Sternberger. So I really like the QBs. Like, I'm obviously a Garoppolo fan, but separate from my Ninerdom, I think in this format, I think Garoppolo is a high floor. He had a very low yards per attempt, which I actually like when there's -1 for incompletions and a positive 0.5 for completions. So I really like the QBs. The wide receivers have a lot of upside. He waited. That's what I would have said to do. That's what I've been saying to do the whole time. I like their upside. Obviously, there is downside. Now he probably needs a couple PPR guys. And then I even have in my notes, not knowing the tight ends he's going to have, I would still have this pretty close to a B+. And then he got Herndon and Sternberger, who I like them both. Herndon was someone I really do like. I know Petey particularly likes Jace. And so, yeah, it was a B+. I can't complain here.
I saw Matthew Berry took Jay Sternberger as his tight end too as well. So that just made me feel even better about it.
You're just like him, man. Mr. Roto over here.
The pass catchers, honestly, that group doesn't really do much for me. Quarterbacks, running backs, perfectly fine. They're just so volatile to me. Especially as Fuller is your one. How many games is realistically going to play? Kirk, Brown's getting his role downgraded with Diggs. He should fit into more of what a John Brown should be, which is that that deep threat.
Yeah, he's a better 2.
Yeah, he's a better 2 than a 1. Mm-hmm. So, Kirk, we'll see how the targets shape out in Arizona. Crowder, obviously, he's safe as safe gets. So we're going to go with another 6.5 here.
Interesting, man. I like it so much. I feel like if he had a couple just PPR wide receivers, that it would go a long way to making you feel more comfortable, because that's going to be, especially through the first, let's just say 6 games, there's a lot of boom there. And I think that people are sleeping on Christian Kirk. I've thought about it a lot. Why are we so low on Fitz and yet not then higher on Kirk? Yeah, I get Hopkins is there, but again, is Kirk better as a 2 than a 1? Because last year he wasn't that great as a 1, but the year before, I think that was his rookie year, he did better when he was not just the main focal point of the offense. Anyway.
No, I agree with that. I actually am a big fan of Kirk as well, and I was actually targeting him when he got sniped from me about 2 or 3 picks before I was able to make my selection. So I had that Michael Scott moment. But no, this one intrigued me at the start, and then as it progressed, I was kind of like, okay, but I was invested in where he was going with it. I would like to. You said the tight ends that he got. So I think it's just something that he's not going to be able to leave alone throughout the season. I think he's just going to have to constantly be on top of this lineup, making adjustments as needed. Like you said, there's a lot of boom in those wide receivers, also with a lot of bust. So my movie comparison, when I looked at this earlier, Olympus Has Fallen, because right off the bat I was invested, I was intrigued, and then after like the hour mark, I'm like, okay, I've made it this far, let's just finish it. So, but best of luck.
You and I would be such good friends if we lived in the same area, man. We already are.
What do you mean? What do you mean would be? Wait a minute.
But in real life, we would be hanging out all the time, man. Your movie takes are fire. I love it. Am I able to talk to the people in the comments other than just being like, "Hey, Steven, what's up?" Am I able to type? Because I can't.
Yeah, type in there, man. Be the chat liaison.
There's no option for me to type into the chat. I think only you can do that because you're controlling.
Yeah, that's what got me booted, was looking at the chat. So,
well, that's just you. Like, everyone's like, I don't know if I trust this guy. Look at that flag behind him. There we go. Thanks, Kev.
You're welcome.
Wait a minute.
All right, so the next guy, we have him up here, ace_Luke. He is actually from Ireland, if I remember correctly. He was in my SFB 9 division. He's a wonderful bloke. It was fantastic being with him. Yeah, I love the team. I don't love the quarterbacks. Like if Haskins wasn't his QB2, like you really just need something to break right. And in this particular league, I think that's tough. And then on top of that, there's what's going to happen to Leo's, Leonard Fournette's pass catching, Chubb obviously has Hunt. So there's a lot of volatility here, but the upside is fantastic. Like if Haskins or Foles is above QB 20, this roster is fire. Because I love Waller, I love Gesicki, and I love his wide receivers. But if they're neither of them are like this, you're gonna have a tough sledding to get some points and to get the W's.
At first look, a quarterback 2 situation is dicey. But that's what a lot of that fab is good for, because thinking about it, you're going to find a quarterback at some point in the season that you'll be, especially with COVID, that should get significant snaps. So, we had last year with Jacoby Brissett, we had Gardner Minshew, Drew Lock, guys like that. They were able, you were able to pick them up. The rest of the team, I'm not as high on Chubb. But I don't mind Fournette because I think a lot of that's overblown with his receiving numbers coming down. The touchdowns have to come up with him. So I think it's going to be a wash. But the receivers, Sutton, Allen, and Lockett, absolutely. Waller and Ian Thomas, Gesicki, Deontay Johnson. This is a high testosterone team right here.
I love it. Petey, what we got?
Well, if we're talking high testosterone, I compared this to Casino Royale, the remake, James Bond. And the reason I did that is because I like the mix of the old with the new that he has here. Veteran guys like Keenan Allen and Tyler Lockett, Leonard Fournette, comprised with guys that are really making, their name known, but are still fairly new in Sutton, and then, rookie and Swift and everything like that. So I actually dig this lineup. I do agree that Haskins is a risky QB2. I suppose, he's got 6 picks left. Target Kyle Allen, because if someone's got to throw the ball in that offense. Yeah. And if Haskins is going to be, if Ron Rivera decides Haskins isn't really working out, well, who's he going to pivot to? The guy that he coached in Carolina. So if I were Luke, and if he's still available out there, which I think he should be, just target Kyle Allen. So.
And I actually love that, man. If he had targeted Kyle Allen and Trubisky and just say, screw it, like I'm just going to make sure that I have these 3 roles all locked up. And I just have to say the Casino Royale thing was perfect, because with this QB room, what's the most likeliest thing? You're going to sit down one Sunday to watch football and someone's going to swing this thing and hit you in the nuts with a mace. Doesn't that happen in Casino Royale? You get hit in the nuts with that ball.
Oh, man. It's getting a 7.5. I will say, on the strength of the pass catchers and everything, I like that team. That's the team. Right now, that's the clubhouse winner, but we got a lot of teams to go.
Man, we'll see.
But next up,
let's go with Dogleg Brewer. Let's pivot.
Okay, we'll pivot.
Let's do it. Then we can get to the roasting.
Yes.
Kyle's in our open bar league. So I definitely feel like, we owe it to him. I've done some FCEs with him. He's a really good dude from what I can tell. So let me expand this so I can actually see the roster. I'm gonna let you guys go while I take a look at it.
Yeah, so we got RB. The preferred start for it seems like most people, certainly myself, I would have loved to do that, but it didn't fall that way. Henry, Sanders, Jones, pretty solid. Good trio of wide receivers in Godwin, Cooper, Metcalf. A couple solid tight ends, Jared Goff and Derek Carr. Going in the back half, he really hammered that wide receiver depth there with Mims, Corey Davis, Dede, Cobb. Beasley is a 22nd round. That's amazing to me. Eifert and Felser pretty solid, back end options too. When you know they're going to be either starting or at the very least involved. This is a quality squad. I can see this doing some damage.
It's B+ going on A-.
As a Bills fan, the Beasley pick, absolutely fantastic value.
I think it's great. Sorry. It's getting the 8. We're bumping up to a whole new tier. Kyle, you are. Woo. Kevin's over here just like, this team, it gets an 8.
It's getting an 8. Public education in New York doing some work there. I had to write my numbers and learn how to do it. So it's getting an 8. I like it.
I'm curious, Kyle, and obviously you can't respond really, but you chose to not get Mariota. Maybe you didn't, and he just got sniped. You chose to not get Herbert. Maybe you did, but they got sniped. Those types of players seem like the type of thing that would have really solidified this. Again, it's going to be a common refrain throughout this, but that QB3 spot, if you lose one of those guys, you are then stuck either pivoting away and starting what you hope is a wide receiver that's going to pop given this roster, I guess, or you hope that, one of these tight ends really does pop behind Hooper. So it's an awesome roster. The QB thing is, you got to be weak somewhere. There's no team that's going to have solid everywhere.
No, you just got to be judicious and then just hope you're basically with the way things fall. Just you got to get lucky at times too with how people are drafting, and that's where you're going to get that variance in your rosters, because not every roster is going to be the same. You're not going to draft the same as everybody else, so you got to do something to kind of differentiate yourself.
Totally. And if Tyrod plays 16 games, he's a top 15 probably quarterback just with his legs and with the weapons they have. So,
and he's safe too, because he doesn't throw a lot of interceptions either.
Mm-hmm. All right. So who we got next? We got Samantha NFL.
We have, that's right, Samantha Previti from the New York Post. She's really cool. Been talking to her about her drafts, and we're gonna roast her. No, we're not gonna roast her. She's actually got a really nice team. So here we go. She's on her last pick here, but look at that squad here. We're talking Mahomes and Hill. You got that stack there. You got Jacobs, Thielen, Singletary, Waller, Ingram, Goff, Edelman. That's top to bottom, at least in that first half. I really like that.
Completely agree. This is probably one of my favorite teams. It's interesting revisiting these after the fact, after I've gone through all of them. I still think this is probably one of my top 3 favorite teams I reviewed, and that's just because I think there's a little bit of a possible hole at running back because of Singletary, because of Breida, because of Henderson. You just don't know what's going to happen. But I think the fact that there was no just going position in a row like I did and like so many teams did, she has just value almost everywhere. And I do love Foles as a QB3. I think he compensates for what if Goff has a down season and all of a sudden you get that. And I love Herndon to pair with Waller, even OJ Howard and Eifert, like post-hype sleepers, right? So I love it.
Yeah. What do you think, Petey?
Well, it's funny that he ended that with with the sleepers, because I'm comparing this to Inception. On the surface, I like it a lot, but it's going to take me a few viewings to get there. So there's a lot of risk. I shouldn't say a lot of risk. There just is risk, especially with Singletary as your RB2. My man Josh Allen loves to snipe those goal line touchdowns. Now you have Zach Moss in there as well. So I don't think Singletary at this point on paper is as valuable as he was, say, last year. Even with Frank Gore there, he put up a lot of value. Same with Mark Ingram. We don't know what J.K. Dobbins' role is going to be like.
Yeah.
So we don't know how much he's going to eat into Mark Ingram. But at first glance, this is fantastic. I mean, the first thing that caught my eye was the Mahomes-Tyreek Hill pairing. And, like I said before, I love subscribing to that strategy of, if Hill's doing anything Hill does, it's going to come from Mahomes. So, why not double dip those points? on the surface, very solid. It's taking me a few viewings to like it, though, so that's Inception.
We're getting another 8 here.
Ooh.
Couple clubhouse leaders. There's still some holes to play, though.
You're going to be one of the last, just because I went in the order of when we received teams being sent to us. So you're going to be coming at some point, but just know that you're further down. So if we don't get you on here because we run out of time for some reason, I have sentences typed up and whatnot that I'll make sure I get to you.
All right. So we got one more on the docket. New England Fan 12 with the robust RB start. 4 RBs to start: Chubb, Jacobs, Gurley, and Carson. A couple of QBs in the next 3 with Daniel Jones, Phillip Rivers. Started as receivers off with Kupp, Hilton, and Christian Kirk. Surrounded Kirk with a couple running backs there. Went very tight end late with Tyler Eifert in the 17th. This is a nice squad. It's got a very top heavy with running backs. It's clearly going to be the focus of your team, and hoping you can get a resurgence from T.Y. Hilton with Rivers at quarterback, and hoping Kirk can keep up with those targets in Arizona. It's a nice squad. I just have some reservations about the quarterback tandem and wide receiver 2 and 3, because I'm not as high as on Hilton or Kirk, but they definitely have boom potential.
Yeah, I feel like this is 100% a playoff team. I just don't know if it's a team that goes all the way, and that's just because Daniel Jones has such a boom. Rivers is just so strange. Like it's just kind of, it's old man Rivers. I personally subscribe to super late round tight end and fully respect what was done here. I really like the team. I know it's solid. I think, I don't know what it is. I think if there was a little bit of like a 1 tier up on one of the QBs, or if I can't even say the tight end. That's not, because I love the running backs. I love the wide receivers. I think it just comes down to the QBs. Is Daniel Jones gonna be a good Scott Fish X QB? And I don't know if he will. Same with Rivers. I just don't know if he's going to throw as much as we think he will. That being said, I give it a B+. I mean, it is borderline up there as an awesome team. There's just something about it.
Where are you at, Petey?
I think Daniel Jones has great potential. I saw a stat the other day that he's like the only, or one of only 3 QBs to throw for like 303 touchdowns multiple times in a rookie year. So the potential is definitely there. I think I would have seen, picking Chris Carson at 403, I guess I would have seen, I would have liked to have seen what QBs were available at that spot.
Yeah.
To maybe get something a little bit higher tier. Like I said, I like Jones. Not sure if I'd be comfortable with him as a QB1. The tight end move is bold. Definitely with Tyler. Not only Tyler Eifert being on a new team, but just his injury history scares the hell out of me. So, when you're only relying on him and Nick Boyle, that could be a little tough. Especially because tight ends, get that 1.5, in the scoring system. So, I guess movie comparison, I'd give it it's Sin City. It's holding my attention. I don't like it, but it's holding my attention.
I got to give it a 7. So I was wavering between 6.5 and 7. Now my thought was, how late is too late to start at tight end? Because I like Eifert, don't get me wrong, he's my tight end 3. I just feel like you probably could have, instead of maybe Marlon Mack, you could have taken a Jonnu Smith or a Goddard to at least solidify the position more. Because you could always take a tight end. There's always going to be a couple guys out there. You can use either your fat budget or just pick them up after after that clears. But I was wavering between 6.5 and 7. I gave it a 7, but it's not a strong 7 for me.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, so let's get into the next one here.
As you're searching, there's something that's interesting that's come up. I don't think we've come across one of the players yet, but there are 3 players that maybe, I guess I could say 4 players that really defined how I viewed people's drafts. And one that we haven't talked about is Odell Beckham. but we'll be talking about him. Another one is Calvin Ridley. And God, it was at the very beginning. I can't remember who the third one was. And Ryan Tannehill, another type of thing. Like, it's not that I'm down on them, and David Montgomery. I'm not down on these people whatsoever. But when I see them in lineups, I don't know. I don't know how to rank these people because Ridley is just so high on people's lists. And then I hear other podcasts and read lots of stuff on Twitter, and like the sky's the limit. But on the flip side, like there's still a wide receiver too, in theory. So it's just interesting as we go through these things to think about how certain players color your impressions of rosters.
All right, so we've got I believe I'm saying it right, James Catullus from the Superflex Super Show submitted his team, so we thank you, James, for that. He had the 101 and went Mahomes, stacked 4 running backs on top of each other, still got a pretty good wide receiver trio here, and then you've got Locke, and then Justin Herbert rounding out your quarterback room. So I love that first half of the draft. And then you've got values like Anthony Miller. Can he get over his shoulder injury and be that slot guy for Nick Foles, Ebron, Mike Williams, who was a 1,000-yard receiver last year, going wide receiver 54, Golden Tate, Tyler Eifert, T. Higgins. This is great for me.
Yep.
Yeah, this is Jumanji. Sit back and enjoy the ride. I absolutely love this lineup.
Oh man, I don't even have a thing for this because you know what? Hold on, I'm gonna do this real quick. Give me 1 second.
While you're doing that, Gary, there's your Calvin Ridley, by the way, as his wide receiver 1.
Yeah, I mean, so looking forward, that's what kind of made me think about it. That this to me, I have as an A-/B+. Like, it is a 90 to 89, and it is solely you are now relying on Drew Lock to handle at least the first half of the season. And if Herbert doesn't come in, I don't know what Drew Lock's buy is, but that's for me the only reason. If he had Herbert a little bit higher, I keep defaulting to Foles and Fitz, but whoever it could be, if he had one other person, even if it was where Rojo went, he took his QB3 and it was more of a defined role, this would be probably one of my favorite teams, if not my favorite team in the entire draft. But I don't even know if Herbert plays this year. Like, we'll see. Very good squad.
9.5.
Woo! I feel like we should have lasers. Boo, 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 boo.
That's in the works. We're gonna have laser. It's gonna be a damn Blue Man Group concert pretty soon here, because there's gonna be streamers.
I'm already
and
bald,
lasers.
so.
Well, nature did that for me, but I have an egghead, so I can't pull off the Salito look. As much as I would love to, trust me, he might be my non-hair idol, him and Zach Reed. But I digress. All right. So let's get to, we got another squad here in the works. So yeah, that just overall, nobody's really, I mean, there's no like stinkers in any of these teams.
And I think it's very difficult to leave a draft where no pick is wrong and have a bad draft. It's a matter of if you pick someone that has downside, you make sure that you compensate for it later. At least that's just my personal view. And shit, right? It's not as if this is objective. This is what's going to happen. These are just three schmucks talking about what they think of people's teams.
All right, so we got Ben Jamin. I did some mocks with him in the process right before the Scott Fish Bowl. So he had the 110, Dalvin Cook and Josh Jacobs, a solid tandem there. Stafford and Tannehill went up to Chris Godwin in the 4th, David Johnson, Kareem Hunt, Diggs, and then he really hammered receiver 13th through 18th with a few rookies there. Especially with COVID going on, it's pretty dicey, but if he can hit on maybe one of those, maybe two, should pay dividends. Ian Thomas his Hawkinson and Ian Thomas is his tight end combo. It's balanced. It's not a bad squad. I'm really, I don't love it. I certainly don't hate it. It's solid.
PD, I want to know what you think, because I have strong feelings about this one.
All right. Well, I graded this one Tropic Thunder. It's not good. It's not great, and it gets a little crazy at the end. So, if this were my lineup, one thing that I did like as I was going through it is with Delvin Cook in the first, he made sure to get his handcuff in Madison in the 10th, and I can appreciate that. I'm a big believer in handcuffs, so great move there. And I don't even think it was really any of a reach. I think Madison went around the 10th in my own division draft. So great move there to make sure to target the handcuff for your number one guy, because we have no idea what Cook is going to do, if he's going to hold out or if he's not. Of course, COVID, maybe he uses that as an excuse to hold out. I'm not holding out. It's just COVID. Who knows? But I like it. It's I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's kind of right there in the middle. So.
Yeah, Tropic Thunder is great. I didn't know what movies he was going to be picking for any of these, and it totally makes sense because to me, it's the wide receiver core, and to a lesser degree, the tight end room. But like the wide receiver core feels like it's trying to be something that it's not. I'm trying to playing the dude, playing the other dude, playing this dude type thing. And like Godwin's amazing. It's Chris Godwin.
That was good.
Diggs he's one of the most polarizing players this season. I don't see the upside for him. And then I love Tate. I actually do like Tate, especially at 51. And then it's rookies. And yes, you hit on them, then you're good. But if you don't hit on them, do you even get to the point that you're in the playoffs? I don't know. And then Alshon, Kevin and I think are on the same page. We don't expect Alshon to be back before at least week 10.
Yep.
And then the tight ends, TJ Hawk is Hawk. I'm not sure between Hawk and Thomas if they're going to be enough, despite the fact that I wanted Ian Thomas as my tight end too. So yeah, I did a B minus. It is a team with lots of upside, but lots of downside, and that's my concern.
We got to go 6.5 on that, and a lot can go wrong. I think a lot can go wrong more than it can go right with the team, but everybody's got a chance. All he needs is a chip and a chair.
Yep. Yeah, totally.
All right.
And we are finally going to get my first Odell team, and that kind of made me start to think about it. While Kevin's pulling that up, Conaway, just so you know, we posted on Twitter just that we were going to be doing this, post your squads and whatnot, and so this is actually just a list of all the people that responded to ours. So if yours was in there, drop your Twitter handle, and I can tell you if we're going to get to it or not. Little Indian JD. I am going to bump up my original view of this team. I originally actually had him at a B minus, and I'm going to bump it up. Barkley, Akers, Howard, Coleman, and Moss. It's a solid group. It doesn't blow me away, but it's solid. And then Tyreek Hill, Beckham, Allen, Rager, Sanders, Chenault. What I'm concerned about is there is a lot of upside, but I think that this team just has so many question marks. Even Deshaun Watson is a question mark, as much as we don't want to admit it. Jared Goff is a question mark from, is he going to be 2018 or 2019 Goff? We don't really know. And then there's nothing backing it up. I think Taysom Hill is a wasted pick. And in this draft, nothing against him, just in all the drafts, it's just not something I'm any interest in because he's thrown 7 passes. They have Jameis Winston. What is Hill to a squad except for you're just going to drop him because there's no reason to have him on your bench? So, yeah.
Petey, what movie you got for this? Because I actually have a movie as well in mind, but I'm gonna let you lead it off.
I gave this one a lot of consideration too. This one's Predator, and not for the owner, but for the other teams in the division. Because if this thing bleeds, you can kill it. And the reason where I'm going at with that is there's a lot of risk. I'm looking at Cam Akers as your RB2. We don't know what his role is yet. He's a rookie. The backups are there. So, with Howard and Coleman and Moss, Freeman, but the tight ends are lower. Jalen Rager, again, a rookie. He is the wide receiver 3. I like that. Beckham and Allen, I'm kind of digging. So there are a lot of strong points, but there are a few weak points. This thing could be a powerhouse, but if it bleeds, it can be killed. So this is Predator.
Well, I'm going to give this a 7. And the movie that I have, it's Ocean's 12. The stars are out. There's lots of stars. It's an ensemble cast, but they're all really just hanging out, making some money, making a movie. But you don't know if it's really going to be that good. But it might be a little disappointing in the end, too.
Man, in 2018, this roster would have smashed.
Exactly. That was my thought, because I'm like, Keenan Allen, Odell Beckham. Like, if you draft for this team in 2018, this was a 10. This was a 9 or a 10. I mean, obviously with Rager and Akers being rookies, whatever. But so I'm glad we're on the same page with that at least.
Something I will say, and I'm like literally one pick away from picking Scotty Fish, so I want them to freaking pick so that I can get there. But I actually like Olsen and Eifert. If you're going to punt on tight end, I actually really like that as a combo, because we'll see what Olsen does with Wilson. And I feel like Eifert is just this forgotten guy, and he's actually rejoining his OC that really brought him to prominence with Jay Gruden. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here.
All right, so we've got Redraft Warrior here who submitted a squad. It's a very curious build early, which I actually tinkered with and thought about. If this situation came to me, I would have loved that. Kittle and Ertz in his first 3 picks, which tight end premium, you really can't go wrong with. Deshaun Watson there at 2.02. And then you got Gordon, Singletary, White, Lindsey is his first 4 running backs. And then leading on, Adrian Peterson and Gore with a little age there to maybe like fine wine. We'll see. But Evans, Allen, and Cooks with the start that he had, getting those 3 together, I do like that. Rivers and Haskins is kind of a hedge on your QB2 to see which one shakes out. And then very wide receiver heavy at the end there to mostly veterans, it looks like. Samuel, Watkins, Fitz. A lot of age there. I'll say that. We're getting into AARP territory here.
I think it's a solid team. I think anytime that you go tight end, it's going to be a good team. It's going to just you're going to be hurting at other positions is what I meant to say.
You're coming from behind as far as you're coming from underneath as far as having to stock those positions, and you have to hammer them. Yeah,
and I don't know. Obviously, nothing jumps off the page, but nothing is terrible besides the tight end room being awesome with Kittle and Ertz. It's just a solid B. It's just an uninspiring but solid team that will make playoffs.
I'm giving this face off. There's a lot of potential for fireworks. It could be a lot of fun to watch. But, does John Travolta and Nick Cage really jump off the page to you? So there's a lot of potential here. I do like it. Wide receiver heavy in the second half with, a lot of veteran status. I took Sammy Watkins myself just to get a piece of that Kansas City offense, even if it is Sammy Watkins and he might only play 5 games. In his case, wide receiver 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's not bad. I mean, if Patrick Mahomes is throwing to him, he's got a chance to have, big games. So he might, break a bone doing so because he's made of glass, but there is a lot of upside here that I'm digging on. So not sure I would go 2 tight ends that early, but, to each his own.
Yeah. How you gonna go a Face Off, man? Because that's low key one of my favorite movies. I love that movie. I love Castor Troy.
I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying, does anything really jump off the page to you? I mean, John Travolta and Nick Cage, that's okay, I'll watch it. It's
when
fun.
Another man takes a face and puts it on his face, and he's going to that guy's house as the husband, that's next level shit, man.
And that's Travolta and Cage, vintage prime, the two of them, John Woo, and he was riding high.
That's for the movie. That's for the movie. That's for the squad.
I love it.
In fact, I'm gonna strong arm Aaron. We're gonna watch that damn movie before the mental health podathon.
There you go.
What's crazy is every single movie that I've made a comparison to, I actually own. So I feel like I really missed an opportunity to just have the DVD like come up into the screen as I made the announcement. But whatever.
That's my second favorite like bad movie, and I'm gonna try to work the first one. And I think Gary knows the movie I'm talking about. I'm gonna try to work it. I'm gonna try to work it in. I'm gonna give the team a 7 though, for right now, and then we're gonna move on. Man, I want to watch that movie right now.
Let's pivot to two of the teams that are in the chat. Let's do FF quick takes, and then after that we can do Dustin. Just because I know we weren't going to get to Dustin because he's at the bottom of the list.
Kevin, I'm just going to give you an ooh, good looking. Just now we can move on.
I love it. Oh man! All right. So FF quick takes in the chat. We have an RB stack here with Zeke, Miles Sanders, Chubb, Darren Waller, Mike Evans, Roethlisberger, and Locke, and Darnold. I like that trio. Gronk, he's going to be probably playing at a less weight than he's played in his career. We'll see how that works out with his physicality. But receiving passes from Brady, I like it. Just don't know if it's 8th round. Liking that price point for him. Marquise Brown, though, Deebo Samuel. There's potential here. Jameson Crowder in the 12th is a good value. Jeffrey, we talked about him we don't know if he's going to be playing in the first half of the season. So I don't know if I can really feel good about a 14th round price point. But, as a guy who, when he is on the field and healthy, is a number 1, maybe that swings some people. But otherwise, it's very top heavy, the team. But from what's there, I don't mind it. I just worry about the receiver depth a little bit on the back end.
I love the value of Deebo, getting him in the 11th.
Yep.
Because I'm just super high on him, but regardless of the injury, my couple concerns are I don't really know if LaShawn McCoy is going to do anything. You're going to drop him pretty quickly, I think. Cole Kmet, I don't believe in rookie tight ends, never have. They don't provide much. And Josh Gordon, I actually don't dislike that. I think that's actually solid. My main concern is Darnold. I'm curious who else could have been there at the time. Like, it's so difficult whenever you're looking at people's drafts and like who actually was there. Like, Gronk has this awesome upside, but what quarterback could have been there where Gronk was, and then what tight end could have been there with Darnold? We don't know that stuff, but I will say your running backs are awesome. I like your wide receiver 2 and 1 and 2, I should say, and what inevitably will be your 3. That's going to be great. So you really just got to hope that Darnold does something, because if Locke and Darnold fall on their face, it's going to be rough sledding. And I'm always nervous about Roth as my number 1 QB, just because we think that the arm is healed, but when we had the doc on the show, he kind of made me start to think that Roth might be a little bit slow to start off the season. But hey, no one's got anything to do but sit at home and rehab right now, right? So
what movie we got, Petey?
I don't know, but I will say this: I'm not a fan of the McCoy pick at the end. I mean, I'm kind of curious as to know who else was there at that time, but, a 32, 31-year-old free agent running back, I don't think it's going to happen. And don't get me wrong, I love McCoy. I mean, I was a big fan when he was on the Good Guys. But for this draft in this league, I think it was kind of a wasted pick. I think, if anything, you have to cherish every pick you have, even if it's the 22nd one. And I just don't think getting a guy that the chances of him doing anything are so slim that, I just wonder what else was at that spot. So that was the first thing I'm taking away. The second thing, like you guys were saying, Sam Darnold at QB 26, I think in mine he went in the mid-30s, if not later. I mean, he was one of the last guys off the board. I think Tyrod Taylor went before Sam Darnold in mine. So, again, I'm interested, QB 26, what else was out there? And like you were saying, when he took Gronk at 8, maybe switching those, you could have gotten better value at the 10th going tight end that and QB in the 8th. So I don't know. It's kind of like, it's kind of like a Spaceballs. It's kind of like it's a shadow of something that was really, really good at one point, with Josh Gordon and LaShawn McCoy. And it's kind of like this is like a parody of a better lineup.
I can definitely see that Sam Darnold. The one like obvious downside is the Gase situation, but what they've spent on that offensive line, I'm just curious to see what they'll do. And if Darnold, going into 2019, I was like, Darnold's my sleeper QB. I actually thought that they had a lot of possibilities. I think that they're still 1 year away, and as long as he does enough to still be their starter, and then Denzel Mims can try and come along, I think that Darnold could be good. It's just, I don't know. In Gase, I will never trust. It ultimately comes down to that. But hey, man, I hope you don't hate us.
Yeah, I gave it a 6.5. Yeah, it's just I want to like it more, but at least because I've never been super high on Chubb. Locke, you've got some questions with obviously Darnold too. So and the receiver depth kind of locks that in for me.
All right, let's do Dustin. Are you Dookie in here?
Yep,
you're Dookie, right?
Already got him up.
And I should just say, Shriek, you're actually the next team up. We pivoted away, and then I had the 103 last year, just so for Romo.
Yeah, so we got Dustin in the chat. Do appreciate you popping in and spending some time with us. We've got Russell Wilson, Carson Wentz, Haskins as your quarterbacks, Miles Sanders, Ingram, Geis, Damian Williams. You've got balance. You didn't go, you didn't double up on positions when you're at that turn. So you got Murray Cooper, Allen, Landry. I don't mind it. The quarterbacks are solid.
Yeah.
As far as the running back, it just doesn't do much.
Kevin has fallen out of favor with Geis. That needs to be said. I remember when you posted this on Twitter. For anyone who doesn't know, Dookie and I commish a beer league together, Beer Traders League, which # Beer Traders League. We're looking for owners. I think that if you had gone and gotten at least Gibson just to see what happens, because you can obviously get AP in the 21st or whatever, no big deal. But I would have tried to prioritize getting Gibson in the event that he does hit and he takes anything from Geis. Problem is, like, if you're going to bet on someone, like there's Geis and 7 other guys there. I really like your wide receiver core. I think that you have a nice boom with Cooper. You have a nice floor with Allen and Landry. Then you have some other guys. But as I've said with others, you took 5 rookies in a row.
5 rooks.
Rookie wide receivers and we're just not meant to be in redraft. But if you can get through the first 6 weeks having some of these boom games and someone hits on that, obviously Brandon Ayuk could hit and so could Ruggs on any given play, then we'll see. I actually think that the best people really like Rager, but Djax is there regardless of what people say. I actually like Michael Pittman the most. I think he's the best value out of those 5 wide receivers in a row.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. What do you think, Petey?
You guys ever see the movie Pi?
Of course.
Nope.
Okay, so Darren Aronofsky, one of his first, if not his very first theatrical debut. But a lot of not really sure what to take away from it. A lot of eyebrow raising. It's not a movie that everybody talks about. And I feel like this lineup has that. It has a weird flow to it. Maybe flow's not the right word, but like you guys are saying, I mean, 5 rookie wide receivers in the second half. I like parts of all of these guys. How they're going to mesh, we're not sure. We haven't seen them yet. So when that's all you have to fall back on during bye weeks or injuries and things like that, it's dicey. It's very risky. Yeah. But again, the starters, I don't mind. Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, Jarvis Landry, solid. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think you're just going to have a lot of issues once you get into those bye weeks. Blake Jarwin is your tight end 1. Not bad, not great. And the running backs are definitely a concern with Miles Sanders. Doug Peterson likes to rotate. So who knows what kind of role Boston Scott's going to have. People are very high on Sanders. I actually kind of avoided him a little bit. I would have taken him if I had no other, better choice, but that didn't happen. Mark Ingram, I mentioned earlier with J.K. Dobbins, and then Darius Geis. I just don't trust injury-prone guys. I can't. And that backfield is so loaded, even outside of that.
Yeah.
Again, so it's something that you're going to have to maintain throughout the season. This isn't something you can sit back and just let it marinate on its own.
Dustin, you should make sure you go and get a Cobb or a Beasley or something like that, because if Landry's injury doesn't clear and he is even, banged up, not banged up, but he's 80% for the season, or if he even starts out later, because we haven't really heard any reports. I would definitely make sure you get some PPR guys there. On a completely random note, how crazy is it to think that those wide receivers really do stack up to the rookie versions of Djax, Tyreek Hill in theory. I don't even know who IU matches up with, and then AJ Green and Vincent Jackson. And it's almost as if they were all drafted just to be their almost direct replacements. So
6.5 in this, but if it were best ball, it'd be an 8.
There you go.
Because I don't want to have to be the one to choose Henry Ruggs boom week or Darius Geis plays. That's my thing, because honestly, it's going to be so difficult to choose. Okay, I'm going to play Ruggs this week. Okay, 1 catch for 7 yards. All right, well, I guess I got to take him on my lineup now. Boom, 3 catches for 140. That's tough. It's tough.
Sreek is actually the next one up. Like I said, you were the one coming up. We just pivoted. So way to join the chat and show us you're there.
Yeah, appreciate you hopping in. Absolutely appreciate everybody hopping in, and we've had a pretty lively chat the last couple weeks here. Let's keep that going. Let's keep the juices flowing. We got Sreek's team here. Derrick Henry, Gurley, Taylor. That's our first Taylor sighting, and I'm not the biggest fan, but I get it because he has the most upside of those rookie running backs, but I just don't know if the price is something that's palatable for me to pull the trigger on. Breeze, Jones, and Locke, that's pretty solid trio if you ask me. Adam Thielen, Sutton, Gallup, I like. Hayden Hurst, Doyle as a 12th rounder, I like because he's going to get work. Rivers loves his tight end. Doyle's as safe as it comes, so he can rack up the PPR points. Underrated Phillip Lindsay, I like, is his 4th. There's a lot to like here. Obviously, it's incomplete because he's only in the 13th round or hasn't gotten to his pick yet. But what do you think, Gary?
Man, it's interesting when I first ranked this team as a B+/B. To me, that's like an 83, 84. And looking at it again, I actually like it way more because I'm realizing all the things I would say about a QB3. You have Drew Lock as your QB3, which should be better than Foles or Fitz. You have 3 solid wide receivers who actually like. I think Gallup as your wide receiver 3 is nice. I really want to make sure I have somebody that I can slide in case Gallup really does fall to the 3rd or 4th receiving option there. And then, this is just a little too early. I love your tight ends. Honestly, this is closer to the next 3 picks could make this an A- team. And right now it's probably just a solid B+, and I want to see what happens in the rest of your draft. And I actually do love your running backs. I think they're fantastic. I just, there's technically downside to Henry, Gurley, and Taylor solely just no PPR, knee, and then the whole max situation. But that being said, I believe in all 3 of these guys, as I believe Kevin does. So I like it so far. I really do.
This is, to me, a Batman Begins with the potential to being the Dark Knight lineup. This is a lineup that right now, as it stands, it's flying under the radar with a lot of potential. I don't think that this is going to be a team that people are necessarily paying attention to in the league. And I think he's going to have a quiet, great start to the season, but it's not going to seem threatening. And with what he does in the final rounds, I mean, this, like you were saying, this lineup can only, go up. So, like I said, this is a Batman Begins. It's flying under the radar of a great movie, but it's got the potential to be an Oscar-nominated Dark Knight, hands down.
Goes 7.5 here. It's a sleeping giant. That's pretty much all I have to say about that.
Yeah.
God, another on-point movie reference. It's exactly how I feel about Batman Begins. You watch it and you're so excited because it's Batman Begins, and then it's not Dark Knight. And it is good, but it is not Dark Knight.
It's not Dark Knight. So
I'm not gonna lie, when I was younger, I had the VHS of Batman Forever, and I was forever traumatized when Robin's parents die. Like, I was really
alert.
Yeah. Come on! It was in the first part of the movie.
I have the DVD of that, and when I saw that when I was younger, I was traumatized by the bat nipples. So we'll just leave it at that.
We are clearly looking at different things here.
It's right in your face. Joel Schumacher does not, he's not subtle.
No, he's not. So we've got duels _33. Thank you for the submission here. So, excuse me. Ezekiel Elliott, Wilson, and Rogers, our first Aaron Rodgers sighting here today. At QB 12, I mean, I don't hate where he's falling in comparison to the other quarterbacks, but that's, yeah. DeAndre Hopkins, Ridley, Diggs, and Samuel. That's a quartet that I do like at wide receiver. Waller. The rest was running back. Swift, Michelle, James White. He's pretty much cementing the Patriots backfield. I don't hate it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not,
Hashtag analysis.
Sorry, man. I'm like scrolling through to see how many we have left to go. Yeah, I actually agree. I do. God, I got to get to the other stream. I do really like it. The no QB3 thing is a deal breaker for me. That's going to suck. It's just rough. I will say this came up a lot. I've seen a lot of top tier running back waiting until Swift and then filling in after that. And I don't dislike it, but I don't know how much I do like it. I get nervous. We don't really know what Swift's going to do. Ultimately, like this isn't we don't like Swift almost unanimously. It's Gase is the worst and then Patricia's second worst. And so I just don't know what the hell is going to happen there. The Sony and White thing, the Michelle and White thing, I do actually really like that stack. I think it's a great way to do it because they have value and they have additional value, and it's a matter of which way are the Patriots going to really lean this year. So this team is just perplexing. Like, I don't dislike anything about it. I actually like every individual piece, but the collective whole is what confuses me a little bit. So to me, it was just a solid B that if it had a QB3, I would have felt a lot better, but it's just a solid B because I'm not 100% sure where to go.
Yeah, I'm going to go Reservoir Dogs on this one. I'm going to circle back to Tarantino because in the first, in the first six, I mean, you've got everybody. You got Mr. Blonde, Mr. Blue, Mr. Pink, Mr. Orange, Mr. White, all right there. All six of those guys I'm A-okay with. The running backs do concern me. I like that he at least went two running backs in the New England backfield to see which one is going to have the hot hand. It's such a tough backfield to read, though. You never really know. So I guess it is kind of good to have both, but at the same time, it is very weak. It's definitely his weakest position right now, depending on what his tight end 2 is going to be. I love Waller as tight end 1, but behind Zeke, it's a lot left up in the air. We don't know Swift's role, and we don't know Peterson's role, and then you have two guys sharing. So other than that, I love it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, especially with the New England. I do like that because you can kind of play the game scripts too. Because if you figure, if it's Stidham back there, say Cam isn't as healthy as we thought he was, you can play White and be pretty safe about it. If you figure, if they're playing like the Jets or something, you think they can get, up a couple scores and just pound it out. I'd be totally fine with taking Sony Michel there. I'd play them both, but yeah. I'll give it a solid 7 for now.
Can we jump to the lefty hook? Because I know he's at the bottom of the list and there's no chance. It's actually sorry for anybody listening, but I just have to ask Petey, we're obviously past the hour and 15-minute mark that I at least said you should suggest to your wife. If you need to go at any point, let me know. I know at some point I will need to. My 2-year-old's gonna wake up. I could literally do this all day, man. I love doing it.
In theory, I could do it all day, but in practicality and reality, no. I mean, I'm good. We could take this like to the hour and a half mark or so, another 15 minutes.
Yeah. So, anybody that's happens to be listening, if we haven't talked about your team, like I said, someone just Double H Fantasy. Like I haven't seen your name before, so we can check that out. But anybody else that's listening, we'll make comments on later.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, anyone that wants to send it to me for a movie comparison, if you want to send me your lineup, I will throw a GIF response to the movie that I would compare it to, with maybe a short description as to why. But
I might be retweeting that right now.
Go for it.
All right, so are we doing lefty?
We got them up there. So we have 3 of the 4 picks as running backs with Barkley, Drake, and Taylor. Mark Andrews at 304 is your as a tight end 4 off the team. Ben Roethlisberger, Ryan Tannehill, Gardner Minshew is your quarterback stack. Lockett and Boyd is your 2 receivers. Their third is, well, if Antonio Brown can lock up with a team, it would be him. With solid upside, but as it stands now, without him being on a team, it's Anthony Miller, Chase Edmonds, Josh Kelly. I don't mind the team. I just worry about that third wide receiver. I worry about some of that depth at least. But what's there? It's solid, but Antonio Brown in the 12th. I just don't know I think that's too big of a risk to take with him, even though the talent obviously is fantastic, but he is 31. He hasn't, he played 1 game last year. So jury's still pretty much out on, if he can even come close to what he did previously.
100% agree. If it wasn't for that 12th round pick, this would actually be pretty close to one of my favorite teams. I think that you hit all the spots that you needed to. 3 tight ends that early, I'm not sure if that's just it's just not really how I play for these tournaments. I don't think there's that much of a tight end advantage, but at least if you had if Goddard and Brown were a running back and a wide receiver, the team dynamic construction is just so different. And I love the 3 wide receivers. I think those are, quarterbacks. Those are actually 3 awesome ones to pair. And you're no longer locked into, I have to play a Mahomes, whatever. You have to play someone. Now you can pick and choose the matchups and see what actually works out. And so I really do like that. It's an awesome team. That Antonio Brown thing is just throwing me off.
Yeah, I'm going to go Scorsese on this one, but not a good Scorsese. I'm going to go with Shutter Island because there are a lot of good pieces that I like with this lineup, but there's still a lot left to be desired. It's falling just short of like that just A plus ranking, and it's doable. Wide receiver, I think, is the weakest position and will require the most work. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 picks, 8 picks left. 7 picks. I can't do math or count, but I would definitely see what wide receivers are out there to just to strengthen that position.
Yeah, Antonio Brown is the match for anybody that doesn't know the lore behind Shutter Island. Anytime that Leo's getting his cigarette lit or anytime he's lighting a match, those are the ways to tell the difference between, the main plot points. We'll just leave it at that.
Get that.
Thanks, Robert.
Let's.
I'm gonna go to Chalupa Batman.
Yeah, good, perfect. Thank you.
I got you. I know.
You know where, man. We've been doing this a while now.
We're mind melding now, man.
Yeah.
All right, hold on.
I gotta tell you guys, this has been a blast.
Oh yeah, it's fun. We're like I said, we'll have you on some more. I mean, it just didn't work out before. Man, where? Oh my.
All right, coming up here. There we go. So, we got Zeke, Wilson, Ertz, our first CEH pick there. Tyler Lockett, T.Y. Hilton, and A.J. Green. If those 2 veterans, Hilton and Green, can get on the field and playing, if they're playing 13, 14 games, I really like that there because they're clearly going to be the focal points of their offense with Rivers throwing the ball to Hilton. And now Green has Burrow throwing him the ball. Williams, Cohen, and Madison. I like that trio in addition to CH and Elliott. Drew Lock is your QB2, which we've talked about is a little bit dicey, but there's upside there. Very heavy on the running backs, which I like. Ian Thomas is a good tight end too. Trubisky, I'm not sure if Trubisky is going to if he's going to see a lot of the field unless Foles gets hurt, because I think Foles is clearly the better option there. But maybe they just, who knows with Chicago's offense, honestly.
Yeah.
But the back end, Jackson, Washington, I like the depth there. Those are guys that have shots to become factors or more factors. What do you think, Gary?
I really like the team. If Trubisky was Foles, this is an A-, if not an A team. I really like it. Something that I'm only just now realizing is that there are not as many teams as you would think that took CEH and took Damian. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I don't think that a lot of people did. It's almost like they were calling their shot, and why the fuck not? Take them both. They're either both going to be useful, or one's going to go down, and the other one's going to be, a league winner. So I really like it. I think this really pivots to me. There's the QB3, but really it comes down to pivoting on Hilton and Green. If they're going to come back to being, top 20 wide receivers, then I actually think you might have one of the better rosters I've seen. And it's very rare that I will say that for a team that didn't go as RB heavy. So I genuinely do really like it a lot.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with DiCaprio and go Blood Diamond here. And my reason is because it's something that I didn't really think that I was going to enjoy as much as I am looking at it. AJ Green, we'll see. He hasn't played in 2 years. T.Y. Hilton, obviously this season vet. And I do like Tyler Lockett. I like that he handcuffed CEH with Damian Williams. So, again, just like the New England backfield, whoever seems to be having the hotter hand or matchup based, what have you, he's covered his ass. So I do like that. I like the sneaky Madison pick. Maybe he sniped that from the guy who had Cook. I don't know, but it's a decent play if Cook ends up sitting, because that's an immediate RB1 that you got at RB41. So Murray, vultures at the goal line. Mac, will see what happens, and then the wide receivers on the back end, I'm kind of digging for their upside. So very, very sneaky drafting. I dig it.
Just real quick, 'cause I have to run. I gotta go pee real quick. Let's jump to Double H. But Steven Roto, I couldn't find your name. You had tweeted at me. I couldn't find it in Roto Grinder. If it's a satellite, we're not reviewing anything that's satellite just because it's best ball. It's a little bit different. If it is something that's in the tournament, I just missed it. Maybe Kevin can pull it up, but let's do Double H, then Jackson, Steven. I'll be right back.
All right. Double H Fantasy. Let's pull that up here. All right. So 108 started Kelsey, which if I were in that draft slot, if I were in probably 106 to 110, if I had Kelsey fall to me, I'm locking that in all day. Dak Prescott, Teddy Bridgewater is your quarterback combo. Todd Gurley, Leonard Fournette, Kareem Hunt, Alex Madison. It's pretty balanced as far as your positional. And that tends to disconnect from time to time, so I'm going to pull that up.
Ooh.
Yeah, it happens. It's
one thing I did see that I'm interested in while you're doing that is the Prescott Cooper Jarwin stack. I am digging that because I think Jarwin is a tight end that most, not all, are sleeping on. I would have loved to have gotten a share of him, especially in this tournament. Didn't happen that way, but I am digging that Prescott Cooper Jarwin stack.
Yeah,
that's stop working.
It's a solid stack. Yeah, it might have gone down. Because it's not coming back up.
And I was searching for yours and I couldn't find it earlier either. I thought that maybe it was a satellite team. I might have typed it in wrong, and unfortunately, I don't have it in front of me now. If that app just went down, then we might just have to call it. But like I said, I will definitely make sure that we respond to everybody that did originally tweet. And I know, Nicholas, I remember looking at yours, and Steven, I did look at yours. I think I just had to delete them out as I was going through them all. The one last thing, I just want to remind everybody, in case if they haven't jumped off yet, please check out the Mental Health Podathon at The Real NFL Guru. And man, what's Hoff's? I can't even think what Hoff's.
The FF Realist.
The FF Realist. Check out go on their Twitter, find them, or just search for the Mental Health Podathon. There's a Podathon that's going on right now. We're on at 10 p.m. because we're just kind of these guys that just kind of fell into this. Whereas like there's all the big names are on this throughout the entire day, and you can donate. It all goes to Hayden Hurst Mental Health Foundation, a huge thing. We're all struggling with a bunch of crap right now because the world's on fire. And, I definitely recommend if you can donate, do. If you can't donate, hey, give us a listen. It's going to be a good time. And Stephen Roto found it. Hopefully you're still there. So
we're back.
He started with, I'm just going to read it off. You guys can try and catch up. Lamar Jackson, Drew Brees, fire start. Then got Gurley, Gordon, Connor, and Hunt. Love those running backs. Lots of upside. Then with Evan Ingram. And he waited on wide receiver, obviously, and he got Landry, Green, Justin Jefferson. That's a little bit early, but I do like it. He got Minshew as a QB3, way to my own heart right there. And then Blake Jarwin as a tight end 2 behind Ingram. Man, that's awesome. Ruggs, Ayuk, Carlos Hyde, Fitzgerald, and D.D. Westbrook. It's Steven_Roto. That's an awesome team. The Jefferson thing, I honestly think he's going to be the most productive wide receiver on a week-to-week basis, not come the end of the season. So I think that is a safe play there. I think I would have loved to see some sort of a PPR wide receiver, which obviously Jefferson is going to be that. And you did get Fitzgerald and Westbrook, so pretty sure that that's like right there. I love this team. I honestly do. That getting Jackson and Breeze, damn man, he got Breeze at 210. Kevin, where'd you get him? 211?
Yeah, I got him at 211.
It's crazy.
Yeah, we get the app is back, so we can continue on Double H Fantasy here, and can do a couple more, and then pack her up if it's cool with you guys.
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right, so I'll just restart. I think you were in the bathroom, so now that you're back, we got 108 with Kelsey. Like I told Petey and everybody else, if I had 106 through 110, I'd be that Kelsey is my target. For sure. Dak Prescott and Teddy Bridgewater's combo, a quarterbacks, Gurley, Fournette, Hunt, and Madison is your running backs, which I like. It's very balanced. Cooper, my man crush, Robert Woods, Tyler Boyd, Marvin Jones, Manny Sanders. It's very veteran heavy, but productive. I love it. Blake Jarwin to pair with Kelsey. From what I see here, starting out your first 13 rounds, I'm a fan. I really like it.
I try to get a couple running backs, even if they're just really high upside guys, guys that need an injury in front of them, or guys that are, a Nyheim Hines or something like that. I think could really cement this just in case, Fournette's not been the poster child, or Gurley has for health either. So that would be awesome. But yeah, it's great. I'm curious who your QB3 is going to be. Make sure that you get that there.
Fitz.
Yeah. With this roster, yeah, this screams upside and floor, and big fan, big fan.
I'm looking at another guy too, like an Antonio Gibson you could throw in there around where, at 14th, 15th, that, it's with the running back situation in Washington and flux, that's a guy that could be a definite boom pick for you. To pair with those guys, because you've got decent floor, early Fournette and Hunt, and if you can hit on Gibson and then stash him in your lineup every week with possibly 4 running backs, the 2 you start and then 2 in the flex, hell yeah, that's a home run.
Yeah,
agreed. Like I was saying earlier, I dig the Prescott, Cooper, and Jarwin stack. So if I'm throwing a movie comparison to this one, it's I'm gonna go Goodwill Hunting. Just a very well written, very well acted, and just has a ton of upside. But again, isn't creating fireworks.
Yep.
7.5. Robert Woods is doing math problems on the chalkboard. All right, so let's go with.
Unfortunately, gentlemen, I think I'm actually getting the red siren.
Okay.
I am going to have to go here. So it was awesome being able to do this with you guys. I appreciate you both having me on very much, and I look forward to doing this again definitely soon. For
sure. Drop your handle real quick, and Kevin, let's finish out with the Jacks.
Yeah, absolutely. Hit me up at Petey Stitz. And if you want to send me the lineup to get a movie GIF comparison, I'm happy to do that.
Dude, it was so much fun.
So,
Honestly,
yeah,
I love it.
Absolutely.
It's so awesome. You should do this for like an actual whole podcast, just comparing fantasy football leagues, start sit to sit.
Maybe
Like,
I
you
will.
can do everything.
All right, guys. Well, take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right,
Sounds
see
good,
you, bud.
bud. Thank you.
All right.
All right, so I'll go with Jack's commish here to round us out here. But yeah, like I said, there's no bad teams. Everybody, by and large, is coming out of their fishbowl drafts are coming to the end with a lot of high hopes. That's what we all like to see. We don't like to see anybody I drafted this team. It's a total donkey. But all right, so we got Jack's commish up there. Thanks for being in the chat and joining us today. Very wide receiver heavy to start out with Thomas, Adams, Hopkins, Moore. Boy, you're starting those three and then you're flexing DJ Moore.
You got the 1-2-3 punch.
Absolutely. And then you got David Johnson, Mostert, Ingram, which, there's volume there, certainly, with those three. Goff and Newton, I don't mind that one bit. Jonnu Smith and Tyler Eifert as your tight ends. And then you snuck Marvin Jones and Golden Tate in there, too. And then you've got some satellite guys in Boston Scott, Rex Burkhead, Justin Jackson should get some work on the ground with the compliment to Eckler. This is a pretty nice team, and it's looking at how everybody has started. This is really the first heavy wide receiver team that we've seen, but I don't mind it. There's not a wrong way to build your team. We've seen so many different builds, and this is the first that we've seen, and I really like it.
Yeah, I actually really like it, and it's making me even want to look at the what's his name, Beers, whatever. That went like ultra wide receiver heavy, but I love it. There's literally one pivot I would make, and that like what quarterback was available at 14 or 15, just get that QB3. Like I said, broken record on saying this, but I'm not really sure what Burkhead does this year. This is an awesome team. I can't believe that Mostert fell to 7. God, he went in the 4th in my league, and Ingram in the 8th. This is the craziest stuff is like, do people, when you go wide receiver heavy, is it like JJ Zachariason just talks about his podcast? Is it forcing other people to think like, oh shit, I don't want to miss out on wide receivers, and so running backs drop? Because Ingram I don't think he made it to my 5, no, to the 6 for me, because I was going to take him and he went a couple picks before. It's awesome, especially if Dalvin sits, you're probably going to be one of the better teams in the league, assuming that Goff and Newton don't shit the bed. Really, with your particular roster, if he's still there, I would be taking Mariota. I don't even know what other quarterbacks really are there, just in case to see what happens. Herbert's probably gone, but if for some reason he was there, I would definitely be taking him. Just somebody in the event, break in a case of emergencies. Ultimately, though, you're starting your 3 wide receivers, you have your 2 running backs, and you have 3 flex, which will be Moore, Ingram, and probably Marvin Jones. I mean, Jesus. Really, you just need one more flex, and that's probably going to be between Golden Tate and Justin Jackson. So, or if Madison's there. But yeah, with these last picks, absolute swing for the fences, just in the event that you're not able to start 2 quarterbacks, you would still have your super flex position, because right now you have all of your flex and stuff. This is a beautiful team. Absolutely beautiful team.
Yeah, I really do like it. And just for a point of reference, Mark Ingram went 512 in my league. So 805 for Mark Ingram is an absolute steal for me. So yeah, I'm going to give this, it's going to be a solid 8 for me. I really like this team a lot, and I'm very curious to see the last 4 rounds shake out with how he's going to round out the team. Probably grab another tight end, I would say, and then just keep hammering, wide receiver or running back, and maybe throw a quarterback in there, because the quarterbacks are going to be slim pickings at this point, but you can always get a guy with upside to bolster or hedge a bet. So yeah, I'm a fan.
Let's do one last team, because I wanted to make sure we brought it up, and that's Beers Water.
Okay.
Have you seen this team?
I have not, so I'm gonna be. I heard about it,
Yeah.
and
If anybody
okay.
hasn't seen it, look at that. I am zero wide receiver. I happen to pivot and take Woods, but I'm very zero wide receiver. I debated on going in like 9th or 10th until I took my wide receiver. This guy did the exact opposite.
Yeah,
I don't hate it. It's crazy.
No, I don't hate it either because he's clearly going to be flexing some tight ends here with Gronk, Gesicki, Engram. If there's a high T team, it's this Lamar and Kyler with those tight ends, with those receivers, and then so you're going 12 through 16 running backs. You're getting guys that are like Kerryon Johnson's gonna get work. Cohen should get 100 targets or close to it. Lindsey's going to get work. Pollard, maybe he's more of a handcuff with a little bit of standalone value, but if something happens to Zeke, all bets, there you go. Yeah. Chase Edmonds flashed when he got on the field, and maybe maybe he gets a little bit of working with Drake. And then Antonio Brown is the ultimate boomer bust pick. He could either not play, or if he gets in with a team like Washington or Seattle or whoever, maybe he gets some work. But yeah, this is something.
So I'm so running back heavy, and I always will be. I'm RB robust. I punt on tight end. It's always what I've done. This is the first time I've seen a team that makes me think, like, am I wrong in the way that I am configuring running backs and tight end in a league like this? With tight ends, you have realistically 18 to 20 serviceable tight ends. Not saying they're starters, but they're serviceable. With running backs, but you have to start 2 of them. There's like 40-ish that are serviceable on a week-to-week basis. Maybe it's more than that. And so that's why running back gets the slight edge if you were to do this. But I don't know. It just made me wonder, like, could I feel comfortable doing a 0 RB strategy? And could you have even waited longer knowing that you're getting 3 wide receivers and 6 flex spots, and 3 flex spots? Plus, if you got your, an amazing tight end with Andrews, let's say, like he did, then that's 7 spots versus the 2. I don't know. It made me wonder what the actual point break would be by the end of the year. And I want to see what this team does. It's one team that I will for sure be following throughout the year.
Yeah, it takes some stones to do this, and really just put yourself behind that team. And yeah. So before we do go, I want to take a look at your team, and then we can go on I figure we have to, right?
Yeah, I'm actually on the clock. I'm trying to like balance between the two of doing this and doing that. So let's pull it up, and then it'll be interesting. You guys can tell me what position you think I should take once you see. I'm a man of my word. So the only difference in what I meant to do was I had intended to go a little bit more running back heavy, and then eventually pivoted as reality set in. But Kevin, lay it on me.
So we've got an RB stack that I'm jealous of because it didn't shake that way in mine with McCaffrey, Jacobs, Drake, Swift is your running back 4, which I do like. Brady and Allen, I feel like they kind of bounce each other out as far as efficiency and kind of weighing up the negatives. But then you also got Josh Allen's rushing. Floor 2, Robert Woods, Marquise Brown, Debo should be healthy by hopefully the start of the season, but maybe he misses a game or 2. We'll see. But at that price point, that's pretty solid. Marvin Jones, Deshaun Jackson, Sammy Watkins, guys are going to be on the field and involved. Hopefully Deshaun Jackson can kind of shake that injury stuff. But then Jack Doyle as his tight end 1. I know Gary was looking to kind of punt tight end a little bit and ended up with Jack Doyle and Tyler Eifert. Zach Moss, who I really love, as a wild card, a pretty good one in Buffalo, fits as the 4th quarterback there. I really like the squad. It's a very balanced. I'd say probably of the positions, clearly the pass catchers are the weakest part, but they certainly not without upside.
Yeah. My debate here is like in the 19th, I just can't figure out what to do. Like I said, I'm literally on the clock. And I can't decide if I want to take a Will Dissly, just a Will Dissly or a Rudolph, because those are the highest upside tight ends in my opinion, or even a Darren Fells. Other than that, maybe like a John Ross or a Jalen Hurd. Hurd's kind of been creeping up, or a high floor PPR guy like a Beasley. Or at running back, it would be Bowden, probably not because I just don't really care about him. P. Ryan, Benjamin, but those just feel like they're backups.
They're dark throws. I'm not a fan of those running backs there. They could probably get in the 21st or 22nd. I feel like they'll probably just hang around.
I do really like Benny Snell, and I like Chris Thompson or Jalen Samuel. So two of the Steelers running backs, or potentially Chris Thompson, but I don't know. Chris Thompson confuses the hell out of me. What the heck's the point? Or just say screw it and go high upside with another quarterback with like a Jalen Hurts or something like that. But I don't know. I don't really need a fifth.
I don't mind Snell there, if we're being honest. Connor's no picture of health. I think it'll take time for McFarland to be the backup, especially with the rookie curve going with COVID. But I don't mind Benny Snell there. That's a pretty high upside pick. If something happens to Connor, I think it's going to be more of a split. But I think Snell's going to be the more fantasy relevant option.
Yeah. Well, if you refresh your page, I just took Benny Snell.
It takes a couple. Is it instantaneous? I know last year there was a.
But thank you for talking me through that, because it's so hard to figure out what I want to do. Man, was Gio still there? Fuck, if he was, I should have thought about that. Hopefully he'll swing back around. I've seen him going in like the 20 and 21st, but that's a good idea. The wide receiver depth, I love my wide receiver core. It turned out way better than I thought it would. I fully believe in those guys. But Kevin, let's pull up yours.
Yeah, let's. Someone want to do. One of my league mates actually was wondering when we were getting to mine. Yeah, we're gonna get to it, and we'll see. I'll try to keep it contained for everybody. But Gary, do your worst.
All right. So we got Barkley, Breeze, Gurley, Carson. That's a fire start. For anybody that doesn't know, Kevin got Drew Brees later than anybody in the entire tournament.
Second latest now. Someone got him at 301. Whoever had the turn got him at 301.
Robert Woods and AJ Brown is such an awesome kind of pairing right there for your wide receiver duo. Obviously, Bobby Trees, hashtag on brand, and then AJ Brown with the upside. And then we talked throughout this entire draft, right? But we did not intentionally do this. We each got our QB2, which we felt very solid in, and then we got Minshew as our QB3, which is awesome. Howard has a really nice floor. Debo, I don't know if that was me selling you on him, but he's just an amazing value. I think we took him one pick apart from each other.
Yeah.
Zach Moss was also our next picks. And then I sadly did not get Scott. I love Scott, Jarwin, and Ebron with Eifert. Like, if you're going to punt on tight end, like, that's the way to do it. I wish Jarwin had been there for me. And Gibson, the upside. And then, with Perriman, Lazard, and Djax, you round it out pretty nicely. I feel like the most likely thing is that if Raheem doesn't get traded, then you're probably looking at Wilson and Smith being waiver wire fodder so that you can try and pick up the wide receiver that ends up hitting in the first couple of weeks type thing. Other than that, it's a fantastic roster. I'm very, very proud of the two of us.
Yeah, I think we killed it. I was planning on going RB. That was my preferred start, and I was looking at guys to pair with Barkley, like a Kenyon Drake, like an Austin Eckler, and both of those guys. So I had John Bauer and Ethan Turner behind me coming back at the 4 and 3, who got both of those guys right before my pick.
Yeah.
So I had to look at that and say, all right, well, I got to pivot because I didn't really want to depend on. I didn't want Aaron Jones and I didn't want CH as my RB2. So I pivoted to Breeze, who I couldn't believe was there. And Drake, I'm going to butcher his last name again. It's Drake PFSA on Twitter. I want to say it's Piog or something. Yeah. I believe he was going to go Russell Wilson Breeze on the turn if I didn't take Breeze. So I wanted to at least get a quarterback, and I'm glad I got him. And then Woods, Brown, say what you want about. I think maybe I took Woods a little too high, but if you're on the turn, you got to get your guys. Yeah,
you got to get your guys. And AJ Brown, he went as wide receiver 8, and you got him at wide receiver 18. He went as wide receiver 8 in my league, so you got to get him. And for anyone that's listening, a first-time listener, like Kevin is one of the higher guys on Gurley this season, and as he should be. I mean, we both are very high, but Kevin, I think in particular, and I'm one of the highest guys on Carson. Like, I just think Carson is the safest RB3 that you can get in fantasy. I prefer him happy to have him as my RB2 even. So this really, to me, screams like Fighting Chance Live podcast between our two drafts. It's the melding of our two brains, and I think I actually prefer your team to mine. I really like my team. I think I actually prefer yours to mine. So the tight ends and just the quarterbacks that you have, it really what does it for me. So
yeah, my only thing was I actually almost didn't take Robert Woods. Allen Robinson got taken the pick before mine too, so I would have, it would have been A-Rob and AJ Brown. Zach Moss, maybe I had to reach up a round or two for him, but that's a kind of a nod, a wink to the Majouks for their Zach Moss love, and have converted me. And I can't even lie, because I think he's gonna pretty much render Devin Singletary not irrelevant, but just a guy out there. Because I know the Bills are just in love with Zach Moss. Yeah. He could take a lot of those touchdowns away and eventually carve out that main role in Buffalo. Yeah. Totally. But yeah, so I really like this team. We'll see what happens.
Well, thank you to anybody that is still here with us. I will at some point try and get to you. I got to spend some time with the wife before I have to do another podcast later, and I'm hoping my son sleeps for another half hour so I can get some peace to myself. I will get to them throughout either the weekend or the week, but really thank you guys so much and for having a lively chat. It's been fantastic. Don't forget to check out the Mental Health Podathon, and Kevin, feel free to take us out.
Yeah. So, check us out. Look up at the FF Face Off. Michael Hoff and Anthony Servino are doing the Mental Health Podathon. It's going on right now. So check that out. We'll be on at 10 o'clock Central, 11 Eastern PM. So we'll be, I believe we're the second to last time slot on that. So we'll be taking it out. So it's a really great cause, something that really needs to get our attention as a people and get the word out there, doing everything we can to help people out with that. So I'm really excited. Scott Fishbowl season, a lot of great charitable endeavors going on, especially, obviously Scott Fishbowl and Fantasy Cares and food pantries and everything of that nature. So yeah, this is a really fun time, and I'm glad everybody out there watching joined us today. And if, like I said, if we didn't get to your team, we will get to them. I'll see who we didn't get to, and then make sure that we do get your roster rated. But anything else, Gary?
No, that's it, man. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody, and have a great night. Thanks again.